Welcome to the CMO Spotlight, and I'm here with Amy Martin Ziegenfuss, who is the Chief Marketing Officer of Carnival Cruise Line.
Take ownership of your career path. No one is going to do that for you. You have to work out what your career goals are, make a plan for how you get there, and then figure out who can help you get there, right? Find people you look up to and who are in the role you'd like to have someday and ask them to mentor you or to give you advice. Relationship builder. People have told me that that's my superpower, and I think they're right, especially across a complex or matrix organization with a lot of stakeholders, with a lot of people to influence and get on board with what you're doing. And also, even if you think about the relationship you have with customers as a marketer, I think you really have to think about that as a relationship and about building that relationship. And it can't be one way; it has to be two-way, right? There's always you have to understand the motivations and what people need, what they're looking for, what they're working to achieve. And that goes for whether it's within your company or with the people you're marketing to. And that really helps you find common ground. And critically in marketing, it helps you find the sweet spot of what your brand brings to the table that your customers might want. I look for things like empathy for the reason that I just stated, being able to put yourself in the customer's shoes and in other people's shoes. And then also because I think it creates an environment where people can thrive. I look for a sense of humor because I think it's really important that we can all laugh together and that we don't take ourselves too seriously. And we often say in advertising and marketing, it's not rocket science. It's not brain surgery. No one's going to die at the end of the day, hopefully, because of marketing. We need to keep that balance, I think, for sure. And then I think authenticity. And again, this is something that I really try to show up as an authentic leader, being vulnerable, letting the team know I don't have all the answers, so that it creates a safe space for them too. One thing that I've found is that being open about myself being part of the LGBTQ plus community and talking openly about my wife has really had a profound impact on helping my teams feel they can bring their whole selves to work. And that's a powerful thing. And I want to make a safe space for everybody. Within work, the team inspires me every day. And the team that I walked into at Carnival is a great example of that. I've had amazing teams before, and I'm lucky enough to have another one. And their diverse perspectives, creativity, their passion really keeps me super energized and engaged. I think outside of work, I find inspiration. I read a lot, not just business stuff, but, things that give my brain a break and engage it in other ways. So I think that's important. And I try and have different kinds of experiences as well, because that keeps you, I think, fresh and, pushes you to not kind of get too stuck in your ways. I think I'll point to one, which was a brand I helped create at Hilton called Motto by Hilton. We discovered through our global segmentation, customer segmentation, that there was a segment of next-gen travelers who traveled and stayed in hotels previously with their parents, but they're now starting to travel on their own. So their first jobs, first adult vacations, those kinds of things. And they didn't think hotels were for them. They were staying in home sharing. And so we were intrigued by this, and we uncovered some insights into why they thought that. And it was all about accessibility and value. So being in the hippest part of town, not in the touristic part of town. So, think Flatiron, not Times Square, and being affordable. It had to be, something accessible and affordable for them, and being able to stay with friends. Because that's kind of how they wanted to travel. So we created Motto, which is in the hippest part of town. It has smaller rooms, which we learned they were fine to trade that off. So they have like Murphy beds and bunk beds, and they all interconnect. So you can stay with a posse and, open up the doors and do what you need to do. It has a really cool day to night coffee and cocktail bar, and it's more affordable. And, what that taught me was to look for the white space. And then listen to the customer, because you might uncover a big opportunity that you had no idea was even there. I don't think we would have had that on our radar at all if we hadn't taken a step back and said, what are we missing here? A quote I love, which is, we rise by lifting others. It's a Robert Ingersoll, who was an abolitionist and a supporter of women's suffrage back in the 1800s. You probably know that. And I think for me, earlier on in my career, I thought I had to compete with those coming up with me. And even as a woman, thinking like there aren't that many women, in senior roles, I'm going to have to fight against my peers. And I know now there's a way to make space for everyone. And actually, it's on me to help make space for those who don't have a seat at the table, who are either coming up with me or coming up behind me. If I think about one from a branding standpoint, I've always admired MasterCard. Their priceless platform. That platform has been around 25 plus years. So it's really stood the test of time. And if you think about it, I think it's so genius because it was a way to rise above the functional benefits of a credit card, right? Into this emotional space about priceless moments, which, I think was, again, just genius. And they found ways to keep it fresh over time and to extend it. It's not just about the consumer message. It's also their employee platform, and it's about their ESG commitments. So they talk about creating priceless opportunities for small businesses, people from diverse backgrounds. So it's a really powerful platform, and I really admire them for not just building it but sticking to it.